sorry, we have one more presentation I forgot to mention from Stuart Houston from CNOCC. And I want him, because he's always brilliant when he presents on the event, and it's called Beyond the Demo, Why AI POC Stall Before Production, a big issue we had, we talked about yesterday as well. So big round of applause. Before we have a break, big round of applause for Stuart. Thank you.
Okay, so my talk today is not going to be about a shiny demo or anything like that at all. What it is it's about what happens after the demo works. So what it basically is here is the reality of things is you get the demo and the POC kind of stalls and it doesn't really go anywhere after that. It sits on somebody's laptop, but after everyone's got excited and nothing really happens. So what I want to talk through is, I guess, some learnings we've got from a live example that's in progress at CNOCC at the moment. So what we started with was the problem. So the problem in this case was, it's probably something that's familiar to everyone in the room here. We've got a set of controlled documents. They've got responsibilities spread across them. And then after reviewing, the manual review process is slow. It's heavily dependent on SME for input, and it's not particularly consistent. So the challenge that we had with this particular one was trying to find the responsibilities across that document set. So and then from there, it was comparing those responsibilities. Because in the reality, the same responsibility that we've got, it might appear across multiple documents, might be slightly different each time, and then you're left asking, is that duplication of a role? Is it conflict, or is it just a variation in the wording? So the problem we're really trying to solve here wasn't extraction of the data. It was all about the visibility of that data. So what happened with this? So this is, I guess, how we approached this. So the first thing we did was try and understand what the problem was. So it was all about visibility. It's not extraction, and then I guess we could decide on what the solution was going to be. So the POC itself, it was bringing structure to that problem. So it was, let's extract the responsibilities, we'll match them to the roles, we'll apply some comparison across that, and then we bring in the SMEs to validate the output from that to begin with. And then once we've done that, I guess we found something interesting. So we weren't speeding up this process. We're actually starting to see a bit more clarity across our document set. We could see that there was documented, there was duplicated responsibilities, we had overlap in ownership, there was inconsistent wording, and things that simply weren't obvious when you're reviewing the documents one at a time are becoming pretty obvious. So at that point, I guess, from the project team, it's pretty tempting to say, wow, this works. But technically, yes, it does. And I guess this is probably the important piece. This is where things start to stall. So when we moved on from there, this is when you start to ask the difficult questions. So you think about it like this, on a POC, anyone can do these now. They're really easy to do. You can spin it up with the help of Claude and all these kind of things within probably a few days to a few weeks. But the hard part, and this is the hard part, it's, everything that comes after the POC. So that's where your questions start to shift. You're not asking, can it work? You're asking, can we rely on it? And they're very different questions. So once something's moved closer to, I guess, a real use case, that's when people start asking the practical questions. So it's, who checks the outputs? What happens if it's wrong? Can I trace that back to the source? Who owns it? And then I guess the most important question that comes out of all of this, and that's, would I actually act on it? It's very easy to get excited once you've got a demo in front of the end user and they think that it's fantastic and everything else. But if you can't answer that question of, would I act on that information, it doesn't matter how good the model is or anything else, if you can't answer that fundamental question, that's where things start to stall. It's not because the model's not working, but it's because the surrounding system around it isn't designed for trust. And that's what this whole system that we've built is designed around. So this is where it became real, I guess, from a responsible AI perspective. It's not as a principle. We've treated it as a set of design decisions. So we've kept humans in the loop. It's not a fallback for us, so it's part of that design decision when we've been building the system out. We made everything traceable. So for us, it meant you could click on a flagged responsibility, see which document it came from, which clause it came from as well within that document. And for us, that wasn't a nice to have. I guess it's an important piece because that's what makes the SME act on that information that they're getting back from the system. We've built in validation, so the SMEs are confirming what matters. We've defined the ownership, so it's clear who's responsible, for that bit of information that you're getting. And I guess the last piece is we're focused on the measurable value. So it's not interesting, it's the useful information that you get out of there. So now for us, the responsible AI, it's not something you add at the end, it's about how you design it from the start. So as we went through it, we've taken some learnings from this. The first one is you have to start with the problem and not the technology. So it keeps you grounded in the value that it's going to deliver and not just the capability that you get from it. The second, key output from this for us was that people need evidence. They don't want just outputs. So if they can't see why something was flagged in the system, they're not going to trust it. And that's probably one of the most fundamental parts of this system. And then I guess the third key takeaway was, technical success doesn't guarantee trust, and without the trust, you don't get the adoption across the business. So if I've got to leave everyone with one thought, I think this is probably the important one. It's the challenge here. It's not building AI that works. It's building something that the business is willing and able to rely on. And I guess that's because that's the moment it stops becoming a demo and it starts becoming capability. And that's, for us, is why so many POCs stall before they get to production. And that's me. Thank you very much.